This is Outnumbered. Hello, everyone. I'm Kaylee McEnany here with my co-host, Emily Campagno and Harris Faulkner. Also joining us, Tulsi Gabbard and Guy Benson. Welcome, everyone. After nearly 4 months without a major media interview, President Biden chose late night's Jimmy Kimmel for his first network sit-down. What a hardball with a friend who's also a leftist. And although Kimmel was fawning for the most part, he did admit he was frustrated more progress hasn't been made on guns and other key issues. But the president once again shifted the blame for all of that, pointing fingers at Republicans and blasting the MAGA crowd yet again.
This is not your father's Republican Party. This is a MAGA party. It's a very different Republican party that's moved very hard right. The Republicans don't play it square. We've seen such a radical shift in one party, that minority of the MAGA folks.
Well, I was dismayed he didn't use the MAGA king. That one's my favorite. Tulsi, you know, I used to say it was a fatal attraction-like obsession with the MAGA crowd, but it seems to be beyond that now. I don't know that this is a winning strategy amid all these crises.
I'm not a political strategist, but I can tell you just as an American, having the President of the United States not exercising leadership and just playing the blame game is incredibly disappointing. We look to the President, our Commander-in-Chief, to be solution-oriented and to really address the problems and challenges that people are facing. So his interview last night, I think it was disheartening and disappointing. And I think he painted a very clear picture of how out of touch he is. He said he was never more optimistic for our country than he is now. He's been around a long time. I don't think most Americans would share that opinion. And just by him saying that that's true doesn't make it so. I think people are still struggling, still dealing with the day-to-day challenges of inflation, of rising gas prices, of supply shortages, all the day-to-day stuff that, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, it's affecting everyone.
It is. So you've got blame the MAGA king, blame the MAGA crowd, and you've also got blame the media. Watch.
But this all makes perfect sense. And the fact that this makes sense is why it doesn't make sense and why it seems so crazy and that we have so many problems and that maybe it's just that Americans aren't as knowledgeable as they should be. Or maybe it's always been this way. I mean, here in L.A., like you know, a small fraction of people voted in the primary yesterday. And then everybody wants to complain about everything. And it's just, it's enough already. And I think you need to start yelling at people is really what I think.
So we'll get to the media one I was referencing in a moment. But Kimmel, that was so interesting. So apparently we're just not knowledgeable. And apparently the answer is to start yelling. Newsflash, Jimmy Kimmel, Biden already yells amid his whispers.
He also cusses out journalists like our own.
He does.
Yes, that's right. And also average Americans who dared to ask him questions. Remember that in the factory when he used profanity when someone dared to ask him about his policy on gun control and also on unions. Look, I think that is really audacious of Jimmy Kimmel, though not surprising. And I think it echoes the talking points from the Democrats and from this elitist president, which is to blame Americans, to blame us. I personally don't blame all of those victims of crime in Democrat-led cities. I don't blame those people driving further to try to find baby formula on empty shelves. I don't blame Americans who are asking where their leader is, where they're asking for some type of guidance or a plan or policy. I don't blame anyone except the guy in the White House and his administration. And those talking points from him, the blaming the MAGA crowd and that they seem so stale to me, right? That's like exercising the West Coast offense to the same coach to Gruden. That's what had Raider Nation lose the Super Bowl. Why are you saying this really tired play? We heard so long ago when we are in distress, we need actual leadership and actual plan, and we need them to graduate from that strategy because it didn't work then and it's not working now.
Guys, so as we get to this media soundbite, let me add some context on this. This comes on the heels of President Biden. He was on Air Force One. He did an off the record. This is when you walk back to the press area of the plane. You say, I'm going to talk with you off the record. Reporters, Trump did it almost every plane ride because he just loved talking to the media off the record. Biden did this and somehow it leaks. So they violated the off the record. And apparently he lambasted the media during this time period. So he vents at reporters on the plane. Then he goes on Kimmel. He vents again. Let's watch.
Look how the press has changed. Mm-hmm. Look how the press has changed.
It has changed. Oh, listen, I get it.
I know you overstand it.
Yeah.
You don't just understand it, you overstand it. But here's the deal. One of the things is that it's very difficult now to have a, even with notable exceptions, even the really good reporters, they have to get the number of clicks on nightly news. So instead of asking a question, anyway, it just, everything gets sensationalized in ways that...
Yeah, clicks on the news, right? I mean, it's crazy.
Well said as usual by the president. Look, if you're a Democrat and you're complaining about the media being biased against you, you're losing, period. It's an excuse. No one believes it. Let's also linger for a moment. And I know it's been said a few times, but I want to say it again. This president did not do an interview for 4 months. And then he finally does one. He deigns to sit down for an interview, and it's with a Democratic strategist and part-time comedian. That is insulting. It is insulting.
You're funnier than he was.
Well,
Exactly.
look, I think it's sad to a certain extent. All that montage was extraordinary. MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. Democrats control all of Washington. They have the White House. They have the House. They have the Senate. And for this president, amid all these failures, to go on this comedy show and lambast the party that's out of power is preposterous. It's not going to work. It isn't working, and it shouldn't.
It shouldn't. I want to get to you, Harris, right now, but first I want to play this soundbite because Biden shared some facts with us.
Oh,
Facts.
really?
Oh, yeah, facts.
All right, let's see it.
Tell people just what the facts are. And the facts are that this isn't anything about, so this is about building the economy. We have the fastest growing economy in the world. The world. We have 8.6 million new jobs just since I got in office. Unemployment rate's down to 3.6%. We're the strongest economy, and that's allowed us at least to stay on top of and a little bit ahead of what's happening around the world.
So he is doing the hold in place until November 8th and hope that it doesn't blow up too badly. That's what he's doing. He's not going to come forth with any ideas or policies, obviously, because if that were his plan, he'd be doing it now. We're at the emergency hatch mode. I want to yield some time to you, though, Tulsi.
You know, I think these numbers that they tout are kind of disingenuous because they're comparing the numbers today to when the entire country was shut down during COVID. And
Excellent
saying, look
point.
at our victories, look at how successful we've been in rebuilding this economy. Well, yeah, the country was shut down. A lot of small businesses were shut down forever. You can't paint this rosy picture without addressing the hardship that everybody has just gone through and are still going through with this inflation that's continuing to increase. Again, I mean, painting a rosy picture doesn't actually create one in reality. So I think that's the difference is they're living in this fantasy world in Washington that you guys talked about, but meanwhile, everyday Americans across the country are living in the real world and wondering, hey, why aren't these guys listening to us?
You know, I want to get this in really quickly because it does boggle the mind. So is it contagious? Because we saw Debbie Stabenow, senator from Michigan, saying that she just drives on by those gas prices. I don't care how high they get.
Exactly.
I have an electric car with a chip, which is hard to get too, right? We have a supply chain crisis right now. So she's bragging about it. I've been hearing, Guy, from people in Michigan, citizens now, reaching out to me in social media, saying, Harris, can you find out if Ford built that car? Because our gas is, we saw it, $5.21 a gallon. How is she able to drive by and ignore what the rest of us are going through? It's an excellent question. Are they taking a tip from the White House? Are they all, like, did they pass out the songbook? Like, oh my gosh, just hang on until November 8th.
I was talking to our friend Dagan McDowell about this, and she made the point, do we really believe that Senator Debbie Stabenow was driving herself anywhere?
Right.
Probably not.
From Michigan
Number
to
one.
D.C., right? Okay,
Come on,
all right.
fair enough. The median household income in her state is about $59,000. The average electric vehicle in America is $56,000,
go.
about the same. Look, on the economic soundbite from the president, going back to him for a moment, there are some bright spots in the economy. We can admit that. They're being overshadowed and totally consumed by inflation, which is the core problem at the moment. And when he says, for emphasis, we have the, fastest growing economy in the world, the world. In the real world, the economy in this country shrank last quarter.
Yes.
What is he talking about?
Yeah, since the president likes facts so much, just really quick, some inconvenient facts for him. His approval rating in Quinnipiac just hit 33%, tied for the lowest ever. Approval rating on the economy, 28%. Russia, Ukraine, 42%. Guns, 32%. So well done, Mr. President. Quite a report card you got. In addition to the 22-minute interview you did with Jimmy Kimmel, I watched it so you wouldn't have to. There's climate change, there's guns, there's lambasting cinema and Manchin, and there's complaints about not using enough executive orders for King Biden. So, yeah.
I think it's telling, quick final point, that his lowest percentage of approval on the economy at 28%, that's the highest ranking priority for Americans.
Right.
Is the economy and inflation.
They're
and
calling
yet,
it urgent now.
Exactly. And yet
polling.
that's where he polls the lowest. It goes to show that disconnect that we've been
Great
talking
point,
about.
Emily. Most important issue, lowest marking. Yeah, there you go.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Compagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.